Okay, I just wanted to do a quick review of a couple of things that might help you. So here's our online textbook. I know some of you may have a hard copy. A lot of people have been asking me about theoretical framework, and I just want to show you where to find information about that. And I think the textbook really explains it best. So let me just quickly show you that. If you go to chapter 4 and just click the down menu, you're going to click where it says searching for a theoretical framework. So if you're thinking you wanted to look into this later, I would just jot down the page number. It's on 136. And in the textbook, they sort of explain what theory is and they give you an example. And then it sort of bleeds right into searching for models of success. So I think it's important just to quickly review this because in order to have a really sophisticated final paper, you want theory. I'm just going to go back to our site for a second. Just bear with me. I just want, yes, Alex's final exemplar. Remember, this is a Google Doc that you have access to, and I hope you find it helpful. It's his final paper. A couple of things you should know about it. His final paper is a solid A. It's excellent. The way it's written is really solid. It's a great example of using really strong rhetorical devices for persuasion. But in addition to that, it's an A-range paper, and the research is really exceptional. Lastly, I mean, you get some teacher feedback when you look at the example in the actual textbook, but I've taken this, from one of my students and I've added a ton of feedback. So you can see all of my comments here. And if you click any of these little yellow comments, they will pop up. Just scrolling down to where his paper starts. I mean, all of this is his paper, but the part that you're most used to is going to be the intro because this is an extended version of your midterm. So you can reuse content from your midterm paper to build it into your final, and that's perfectly acceptable. But you'll see Alex here starts with a piece of theory. It's unusual to have theory in your intro. Remember, your intro, as you can see here, it's you defining the problem, but also talking about the population. So you can include theory there if it works, but more often than not, you're going to be including theory in your literature review section. So here's Alex's literature review. You'll see he has a bunch of models of success. I'm just going to scroll down. And this is where he includes his theory under this section. And it's the theory of technoecology. So if you're kind of struggling with theory, like I said, read the textbook on page 138. But I would definitely look at this model paper because you can sort of see how theory is working in action. Just going back to the textbook itself, I'm scrolling down to the final project proposal. You'll see there's all different kinds of sections here to help you, but the sample project proposal gives you another exemplar that's been published in the textbook. So I'm just going to very quickly go through this with you without reading it, but you'll see it just starts the very same way. And you can kind of scroll through and see Brian's paper, and that just sort of gives you an additional way to look at it. Remember, I'm just going to keep reminding you, the introduction section is your problem/population section, so you can use a lot from your midterm there. A couple of other things that I want to remind you of, your oral presentations are coming up. So just reviewing chapter 6, if you have any questions about that or need any assistance would be a good thing to do. I just want to go over a few more things here and then I will let you go. I'm trying to keep this brief. I've posted next week's module early, and I just want to go over a couple of things with you just in terms of what we have left. There are a couple of lectures. You should have watched the final proposal lecture last week, but if you need to watch it again, it is posted in Module 6, last week's module. What I've also done is I've taken Alex's proposal. That's the proposal that I posted last week that has all of my annotations on it. And in the past, I've made videos that really section it off, and the sections correlate with what you have to do for peer editing. So you'll see I have 4 videos posted that go over part 1 of his proposal, and I'm going over those first 4 sections. And these are new things that you have not written yet. A cover letter, a title page, an abstract, a table of contents, and a table of figures. Just know part 1 should not take you that long. The hardest thing you'll have to do is the cover letter. The title page and the table of contents and figures should take you almost no time at all. So you'll just be submitting a draft of that by the 12th, and then you will peer edit that by the 13th. Going on, part 2 is a little bit more involved, but you have your midterms to go off of. You should be adding to your midterms. You should be adding in figures. You should be really starting to revise and expand some of your content based off of the feedback that you received. So you'll see part 2 is focused on the introduction as well as the literature review. Your paradigm section has a new fancy title called Literature Review. That's the same thing as all of your models and pieces of theory. Those are our 2 major peer editing pieces this week, and next week we will have 2 others. So you can see I've posted all of those due dates for you. The last day of our summer session is the 22nd, and that's when your paper will be due. Going back to our modules, I just want to show you an example of the peer editing. But you can see here, I'm not going to go through everything with you. This is where I've posted all 4 videos of those 4 parts of Alex's paper. So hopefully you find that helpful. This is the PowerPoint that I use to instruct the final paper. I've also posted another example paper that was pretty decent. This was a student of mine from a past semester named Evan. So if you're looking for another example, there's that. I've made you a list of final paper requirements. I hope you find this helpful. I know when I was in your shoes, I just kind of like to see, what do I need? This is a brief checklist, and it also gives you approximately how many pages it should be. And it can always be more than this, but this is just sort of a general outline. A couple of things that were an issue with the midterms, you want to make sure that your page limit is met, but also the word limit. You will risk not passing if you don't have the proper length and word limit. So just be mindful, guys. This includes everything, starting with your cover letter, even though it doesn't get a page number. Everything in your final document, except the works cited, should equal 15 to 20 pages. And when you highlight all of that, minus the works cited, it should be 6,000 words. Remember, your midterm needed 8 sources, your final needs 10. You can always have more than that, but half of your sources should be scholarly or peer-reviewed. Just going back and looking at a couple of other things here. I've made a checklist for you that's much more detailed than what you were just looking at. That's just kind of a brief overview. This is way more specific. So remember, you're working on the first couple of sections here for part 1 of peer editing. You can look at your cover letter. Here's what I'm looking for. Here's the type of content you need to cover. Here's what you need for the title page. Here's what you need for the abstract. And you can see I've done this for every single required section. So I hope that you use this almost as a checklist, and that you're kind of just being mindful of it as you peer edit other people's papers, but also as you move forward with your own paper. Almost there, my friends. So here's the rubric that I use. You have access to that. I'm just going to look at one peer editing posting as an example. A lot of you were not participating in peer editing. It's mandatory to participate in peer editing because it's part of your grade for the final proposal and the course. Like, it's built in to each assignment. So I just want to make sure you guys know that. So this is all focused on part 1. Part 1 is highlighted. The other due dates are here if you need it. You're uploading, this is just a discussion board, a document of part 1. You'll see that I've given you examples of feedback that are not great and feedback that's exceptional. You should be aiming to have exceptional feedback. I've also included that video that reminds you of what part 1 entails. So everything is here for you. Remember, for part 1, you are uploading your draft by July 12th at midnight. You have 1 full day to edit 2 people's papers. So please make sure that you are doing that. You can see here are the directions. Please comment on 2 people's papers by July 13th. And I'm really looking for a comment that looks somewhat like this. It has detail. You're giving thoughtful feedback. All right, my friends, if you have any questions going forward, please let me know. I feel like there was, oh yes, the last thing. I've added 1 more sample oral presentation. It's a girl, Nicole, who I had in a previous semester. I'm just going to open that here. This is an exceptional presentation, and it's great too because you can see how she added voice threads. I'm just going to quickly play one just so you can sort of hear it.
Hi everyone, thank you for coming today. My name is Nicole Chen and I'm here to discuss the municipal solid waste issue at Rutgers University.
So you can see each slide has one of these voice recordings. You can download this and listen to them, and it sort of gives you a guideline of how this should sort of go, about what slides are mandatory, and also about the way in which she's explaining it. This was a solid A, so I just like to give you examples of things that worked and were successful in the past. And remember, for your oral, you can do something like this and submit it. You can record yourself. I'm doing a screencast right now. I really like doing that. You can include your picture in the bottom right while you're screen sharing the presentation itself. You can also sit at a desk or go into an empty classroom and have someone record you there. But I do need to hear your voice at the very least. And seeing your face is oftentimes very, very helpful, just so I can sort of see your rapport with the audience. Just a reminder with the oral, guys, it is at least... really at least 10 minutes in length, but I always tell students to aim for 12 minutes because if you are under that 10-minute line, you're not going to pass. You have to make sure that you're taking some of the feedback from your midterms, revising, and make sure that you have figures. You'll see her figures are pretty excellent, and she has every single required part. And if you're looking for order, hers is ordered properly. You can see that she starts by going over her problem. She then goes over her models of success. She then goes over her plan. And she closes by going over her budget. And then sort of offering her call to action, which is her final persuasive pitch. She gives her contact information. So I hope that's helpful for you, but I wanted to let you know I've added hers. I thought maybe you would enjoy that and find it beneficial. All right, my friends, I hope you're well, and please let me know if you need anything.